Problem. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Esports, Metaverse, and Beyond. And today we're here with businessman, innovator, and president of LaSalle University, Eric Turner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Glad to talk to you guys.
It's an honor to sit down with you today, President Turner. As the first African American president of LaSalle University and a trailblazer in higher education, your leadership marks a new chapter for both the institution and the community. So thank you for coming on the show with us today.
You're quite
Yes,
welcome.
thank you very much. I know we're going to have a great conversation today. So before we dive in, let's play a little game. Are you up for a bit of fun?
Absolutely.
It's game time. If you could have a conversation with any historical figure or innovator, who would it be?
Wow. I'll give you two. If it were any historical figure, it would certainly be Jesus Christ. I would love to talk to him. And if it's an innovator or certainly a thought leader, I'd love to talk to Albert Einstein. I have a lot of questions for him.
Those are both great answers. Really fascinating picks. What's your favorite movie and why?
Oh boy. I think my favorite, I shouldn't even say I think my family would laugh if I even hesitated on this. My favorite movie is The Godfather. And
Really?
the reason is, in spite of the criminal activity, what strikes me about it is are some of the real life kind of characteristics of interaction and organizational development and the like, and this idea that there are standards and rules for life and for behavior, and following those rules tends to be successful. And when you get outside of those rules, you actually tend to get in trouble. So they're in spite of it, as I said, being a gangster movie, there's some things to learn there.
Wow, that's a really great answer. You hear The Godfather getting a lot of great reviews, and yeah, I don't really hear many people talk about it. So good choices.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing. You just earned 4,000 points.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Now, if you could share a little bit about your backstory and the journey that led to where you are today, we'd be really interested in knowing.
Well, I try not to do this in too much detail, but my journey is I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and went to college in Boston. I studied economics. I eventually got an MBA. And my professional career has been primarily in business, primarily in finance, and some technology and some other kind of fields. I started my career working for IBM. I was a salesperson selling large computers to businesses, and went from there into finance with IBM. When I went back to business school, I came out and worked on Wall Street as an investment banker for a number of years, and then came to work for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a deputy treasurer, and eventually as the director of the state lottery. After that, I went back into the private sector and worked at State Street Corporation, and then eventually worked for myself as a private consultant for small businesses and small business owners. In that time, I did a lot of volunteer work. I volunteered as a board member, a trustee of LaSalle University, and eventually went to work for LaSalle as a vice president, as provost, and then eventually as president. So that's probably a lot more than you wanted, but that's been my journey.
It sounds like you've had a lot of experience throughout your career, Mr. Turner. So you said you've been involved with LaSalle for a really long time now, around 25 years. What does it mean to you that now you serve as the first African American president of the university?
Well, I think my involvement has been over 25 years. Most of that time has been, as I said, as a volunteer and as a trustee. It's only the last 8 years that I've actually been an employee. But to answer your question, LaSalle University is a 175-year-old institution. It's continually operated. So it was founded in 1851, and we're about to be 175 next year. Anyway, founded in 1851 as a 2-year institution training young women. And it's always been active in training students in both the classical sort of liberal arts, as well as preparing them for jobs and careers. So we're now a 4-year institution with graduate programs. And I think, my being at the helm here is significant. I think I hopefully serve as a model for all students, including students of color. And I think it's significant that this institution of this age has been open-minded and bright enough and intelligent enough to provide opportunity, not just to our students access and opportunities, but to have an African American president.
Well, that's a very inspiring story, Mr. Turner. What would you say is your favorite aspect of LaSalle University?
It's certainly the students. College in general is transformative, and LaSalle is a transformative institution. Our students come here oftentimes not knowing what they want to do in life. Sometimes they may not have done as well as they could have in high school, and they might be finding themselves. And this is a place where you can find yourself. We have small class sizes. Everyone graduates from LaSalle with at least one internship in which they've participated. They graduate here with some strong personal relationships with faculty members and staff members because we are small. And so I love the students. I feed off the students' energy. I feed off their curiosity. I feed off of their learning things here, both inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. So, to me, there are not many things more noble and more important to society than young people, and frankly, older people too, but young people learning and being able to benefit society based on what they've learned.
Well, that's awesome. It's great to have such a strong connections with the students and the community of the university. We've heard actually within the last few months, LaSalle University hosted the grand opening for its new AR/VR lab. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, that is really, really exciting. We are one of 4 institutions in the state of Massachusetts that has an augmented reality, virtual reality lab. The other institutions, get this, are Harvard, MIT, and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, which is the flagship campus. So LaSalle, being a small private institution, we're swimming in the waters with the big fish. But our augmented reality, virtual reality lab is a really wonderful place. It's got almost a 300, I'm sorry, almost a 180-degree floor to ceiling screen that runs that many degrees around the wall, and it can broadcast things and show things there that are incredibly realistic. It also comes with, I think it's 15 or 16 computer stations where students sit with goggles and can immerse themselves in all sorts of activities. Some of the examples that we've shown have been, for instance, taking a human body and deconstructing it, with your mouse and your computer, where you can take off the skin. You can look at the muscle systems. You can look at the nervous system. You can pull out individual organs and go inside the organs. You can go inside the heart and actually watch it beating and see blood flowing in and out. So, those kinds of applications are going to be significant in our students' learning. And so it's not just science and biology. Our fashion program is looking forward to utilizing it for fashion design and fashion planning. We don't quite have an app for this, but I look forward to our humanities folks using it. And with the combination of artificial intelligence, I can envision having a conversation with William Shakespeare and asking him to talk about how he constructed his plays, or asking Alice Walker how she pulled together the books that she's written, and to talk directly with students about it. So I think the possibilities are going to be almost endless with this technology. It's fascinating.
That's really true. Artificial intelligence and virtual reality can really simulate anything, and that's what makes it great because you can get experience by going out into real world, but virtual reality will help train for that without even needing to, risking other people's health or their safety when you can practice and continue to practice and develop your skills inside the lab, inside your university. So I think that's really great. It's amazing just how immersive technology can make education and learning as a whole. And now, do
I
you
think
think
you, I think you're right. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you're right. I look forward to our students being immersed in that, and think about when they graduate from here, they're going to be ready for almost anything technology wise in their jobs and careers.
that's right? It really helps being prepared. But not only that, do you think virtual reality is or will be more effective than learning with traditional textbooks?
I think it will in a lot of in many respects. I don't know if it totally will be, but I think in a lot of respects it will be, just because it can bring what's on the written page to life. And we have a philosophy here that is called connected learning. It's our teaching philosophy, and connected learning is learning by doing. It's experiential. And so the idea, in the example I gave before, the idea that you can pull an organ out of a body and look at how it's functioning, with the exception of being able to actually touch it, you're getting so much more out of that than you would with an illustration in an anatomy book, or a description of that. So I think it's going to be extremely powerful. It already is, and as we figure out new and different ways to utilize the technology, I think it's going to be extremely powerful for learning, and take learning to levels that we haven't seen probably since the invention of the printing press.
Mm. Wow, that's wonderful. You think that within the following decade or so, by 2035, VR will be a common thing we see in K through 12 education?
I think it probably will. I think, when you look at how technology has advanced in recent decades, when you look at, for instance, how computing power continued to increase, and yet the price of computing continued to go down, and you see that in other technologies too. I think what you'll see, that same phenomenon, if you will, occur around virtual reality, certainly around artificial intelligence. And I think what will happen is, in much the same way that, the telephone that, the smartphone that, most of us have, has more computing power than what was used to take the astronauts to the moon decades ago. You're going to see similar kinds of things with VR and artificial intelligence, and frankly other technologies that aren't in the common language right now, but will be in that period of time.
Hmm. So speaking of artificial intelligence, we heard that LaSalle University has also opened an artificial intelligence program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's early on at this point. What we did is, we've done a few things. We have certain faculty who have been tasked with kind of being the leaders in um, understanding the uses of artificial intelligence, understanding as much of the technology as possible, and we expect them to bring that information back and share with all of our faculty so that they can be thinking about different ways to use it. Last year at this time, our provost and chief academic officer asked each of our faculty members over the summer to be researching and learning ways that they could implement and utilize artificial intelligence in their courses, in their classes, and in things that they do with students. So we're still early on with it, and we're looking at a number of different ways to utilize it in education. We have some faculty members who are a little further along and who are already incorporating it into their classwork and into their their learning by doing work and the like. I think most people are dealing with Copilot or a Chat GPT or other tools, and really just trying to get used to them and figure out ways that that they can be useful. So we're still a little early on the learning curve, but as an institution, we expect to get up that learning curve relatively quickly, and we're continuing to work on it.
LaSalle University really fascinates me. It has so many advanced technologies like VR, AR, and AI, which not a lot of other colleges have. So it's just a really amazing thing that LaSalle can do all these sorts of amazing things.
Well, we've tried. We've had a recent history of trying to or trying a lot of things, and we've got a culture where we will try new ideas, not just willy-nilly, but ideas that we think have some promise, and we're not afraid to pilot things or to test them out. And if they work, great, we're willing to invest more resources in them and more time. And if they don't, we're not willing to or we are willing to shut them down and say that didn't work, and maybe we come back to it later, or maybe not. But I think a big part of being successful as a person, and certainly as an organization, is trying things and failing. And if you don't get used to failing, it's very hard to be successful. And so, as I said, you don't try stupid things, but you're thoughtful about the moves you make and what you try to do. And every time you fail, there is so much you learn from failing. And so we try to do that organizationally, not just personally.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate the effort because it's great to try out new things. And especially helps the students too, because it helps them stay ahead of the curve. As you were saying, they get new experiences and it keeps them open-minded to all this technology that will probably be implemented within the next 5 to 10 years, if not sooner. So
You,
it's great
you're,
that they're getting to try this stuff out at an
you're,
earlier age and gain this experience.
you're so right.
A lot of parents and educators fear that AI might replace traditional education, a traditional education system and teachers, as AI is getting so advanced these days. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's funny. Our faculty, probably like most teachers, initially were very concerned about AI because it could so easily be used for cheating, right? You could get AI to write a paper or whatever. But I think two things happen. I think one, faculty and teachers in general realized that this isn't much different than the internet or other forms of technology that people have taken and used to embrace. And I think they realize that it's a tool, just like any other tool. It can be a hammer, a shovel, or the internet, or a computer, or whatever. And any tool can be used. They're meant to be to make us more productive, right, and more
Mhm.
efficient. And AI is like that. Of course, any tool can be abused, but I think what people also quickly realized is, in much the same way that AI could be used to cheat, AI and other things can be used to detect cheating. So the benefits clearly outweigh any disadvantages of it. So I think that that sort of initial concern, that initial wariness about it for most places and most people has really just kind of gone out the window. So we are looking at just a number of different ways to utilize it in the classroom, outside of the classroom, in our administrative operations, in our so-called customer service. And so I think it has its place. I don't think it will replace teachers, but it gives teachers an extremely powerful tool.
Mm. Right. I think that's the thought process that I think society should be moving into with artificial intelligence. Not that it should replace the teachers or people who are currently working to help society, but instead will be used as a tool to make their job easier and more effective. So I think that's a great thing that you guys are the process of teaching over there at LaSalle University.
Yeah, I read something just, I think it was just yesterday, where I saw someone in finance, I think it was an analyst of some sort, who talked about, and of course, this is a tiny example, but I think it makes sense and can be applied across the spectrum. What he said is, what artificial intelligence allows him to do, and people like him, is instead of filling out taking the time to fill out spreadsheets and populate them with information and check that information and the like, artificial intelligence will do that. And then it will help them do what they really are hired to do, which is analyze. And so I think that's just a tiny example of how instead of replacing people, there's so many instances where it's really just going to make people more productive.
That's right. My brother and I have been working on a project called Future Path AI. We actually won a competition in food called Arena for it. But essentially, our idea is that you can input your information that includes your hobbies, interests, financial budget or restraints, and potential job opportunities. And with that information, an AI will output what college you might want to go to. It will provide many recommendations for majors, minors, reason why you might want to take them to help plan out the college and career experience. So we really want to see people using artificial intelligence as a tool. And
That
so, yeah, I think it's definitely great, I'd say.
that is great. I love that application because I'm sure when you apply it, it's going to send everybody to LaSalle.
Right, right. So currently in our education, we're in a moment of disruption. It's full of online learning, declining enrollments, student debt, and shifting perceptions of college. How is LaSalle University adapting to these new realities that people have come to, these new conclusions?
Thank you. I love that. I love that question because what you've done in that question is really encapsulated the challenge or challenges that higher education is facing these days. Um, what we're trying to do is to be thoughtful about the trends that are taking place in this country and in society in general. There are 40, I think it's 40 million, 40 plus million Americans who have either a high school education or high school and some college. What that means, when you think about that, those are the folks who are most at risk to being disrupted out of their jobs or their livelihoods by the more rapid change of pace in business in general that keeps increasing, um, by global competition and by technology. Probably the greatest threat uh, today would be artificial intelligence. And by the way, a lot of people with bachelor's and master's degrees may get disrupted by those same factors. And so those folks have to relearn, retrain, retool, whatever you want to assign to it. And I think that the segment of society that should be best able to help those people would be higher education. In a lot of respects, higher education is not as prepared as it should be to help those people. So I see in LaSalle's future, we're never going to not offer bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and we actually are looking at offering a couple of doctorate degrees soon. But we will always do that. But I think our greatest contribution to society in the near and intermediate term is going to be how to help other learners learn and learn so that they can conduct their lives and earn their livelihoods. And it'll be teaching them things like ways to better utilize AI. It'll be teaching them things that interests that they may not have had up to this point. So I think that's not just an opportunity for higher education. I think it's an actual obligation of higher education in this society. I'll say one other thing at the risk of talking too much. Right now, LaSalle University has a preschool. So we teach infants from, I mean, we teach children from infancy, 6 months, all the way through kindergarten. We do some training and teaching in high schools where we're teaching college courses to high schoolers. Of course, we have our undergraduates. We have non-traditional undergraduates in a online bachelor's degree program. We have our master's degree candidates. And what you may not know about LaSalle is we also have a senior continuing care retirement community on our campus, which has a 450-hour per year education requirement for each resident of that institution. So we're teaching people from infancy through, we have centenarians at LaSalle Village, the retirement community. So we're teaching people from their infancy to their hundreds at this point on this campus. That's what life has to be about in this society going forward. Lifelong learning. You should never stop learning, and higher education has to be a big part of that.
That's great that you can teach people from the beginning of their life all the way up to the really an old age. It's really an amazing thing. I think more people would need to see learning as a good thing, a fun thing, since a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like school. Learning isn't fun. But learning is a thing which can change your life for the better. It's something that you should look forward to. You should love learning. Everyone should.
I
Yes,
agree.
I fully agree with you, Sage. That actually is truly amazing that you guys are continuing to showcase that people should continuously learn. Yeah, no, that's truly amazing. Thank you for sharing. Now, moving on to another current event, you heard that affirmative action has been abolished about throughout the past year. Do you think that there will be less students of color at LaSalle University or colleges at large, or will the numbers remain the same?
I think there may be an initial dip, or there may be a dip at some point, but I think what we have done at LaSalle, and many other colleges and universities have done this, is we've worked very hard, not just on the numbers of underrepresented uh, groups in enrollment and in hiring and as employees, but we've spent a lot of time trying to make this a part of our culture, and part of our culture being that we want LaSalle to look like the greater society at large. And so I think to the extent that you do that successfully, whether it's LaSalle or any other institution, if you make that a part of your DNA, then it doesn't matter if you have DEI programs or whatnot. Now, having said that, I still do believe that it is important for us to have in place objectives around representation, objectives around access, around inclusion, around belonging. Those are important because it still just doesn't happen naturally among people. So I think that what will happen, there may be a dip in the short term. But I think that what will happen is also because the population is shifting so much, particularly in this country. I think that what will happen is that people are going to understand kind of the basic part of having a representative entity or representative organization, that you aren't going to be able to function in this society, and you're not going to be able to be successful in this society if you don't know and you haven't had experience in interacting with people who look and think and act and come from backgrounds that are different than yours. It's just becoming almost a requirement. And the other thing that science has shown is that the best outcomes come from groups that are diverse in their thinking, diverse in their backgrounds, diverse in their approaches and their perspectives. And you get to better solutions, better ideas, better output when you do that. So there are a lot of sort of personal, survival, competitive, fill in the blank. There are a lot of reasons why it's important to make sure that organizations are representative. And I think we still have, yeah, we'll have some work to do on how we do that. And there may be some challenges to the ways we've done that in the past. But I think it's going to be critical to continue that. And I think we will.
And that's a great thought process, and I agree. Hopefully, with the abolishment of affirmative action, people will look at that and choose to work even harder for their goals. So we can build a society where society at large is diverse, and people, are just weighing based off of their merit. And I think that's a really great thing. It'll hopefully boost up every community.
Yeah. I think you're right.
On
Yeah, and the other thing, and again, I'm sorry to interrupt. The other thing was that, the idea that merit is somehow um, competitive with or doesn't work with representative organizations is just nonsense. Merit actually is enhanced by making sure that you have representative groups, because the best people will in fact rise to the top. So, and the best performance will in fact rise and be recognized. So it's extremely important.
Mm. On a similar note, the Department of Education is currently being dismantled. Do you think that will have an impact on the student count, the total count, or will it not impact it all too much?
I don't know, and I hope it doesn't. I think that it's still early in the process and the thought of um, getting rid of the Department of Education. I think Congress still has to participate in that decision and in that process. And right now, today, it remains to be seen what Congress will do around that. I think just in general, it's a little early, but I do worry that if it is dismantled, what that will mean. I actually worry about what that will mean a lot more for K through 12 education than college and higher education, um, because there's a lot. Not that higher education doesn't have issues that need to be addressed and fixed or whatnot, but I think our K through 12 education system in the country certainly needs a lot of attention, and for a lot of reasons deserves a lot of attention, because we need to make sure that we're educating our young people to the point of being able to go into higher education or go in directly into the workforce and be prepared in a way that allows them to be successful in those two paths.
That's a great response. Now we're getting close to wrapping up, but when LaSalle is looking for people attending their university, what are some skills and traits that they're looking for in their students?
Well, I think the main thing we're looking for are students who want to learn, students who may not necessarily have decided what path they want to take, but students who want to come and get a solid education in sort of traditional areas, and layered on top of that, uh, a good education that will provide them employment when they're done. So, I talked about the connected learning philosophy. We're trying to make sure that our students, when they graduate from here, are career ready, that they're ready to go into whatever their chosen field is and be able to contribute from day one. Not that they know everything or know enough to run a business or to run an organization, but that they're able to contribute at the entry level and sometimes even further along than that. So, we're looking for students who want to continue to learn, and we're going to help them with that. We're going to help them prepare for their livelihoods going forward.
That's a great thing to look out for in students, Mr. Turner. Now, when people look at your presidency in the next 30 or so years, what do you hope your students will say changed because you were here?
I hope they will say that we have done what we've done since 1851, that we have managed to stay current in what we do, in our preparation of students, and that we have provided them with the ability to earn a good living, and that we have taught them to continue that education, to continue learning, because that's what separates us from all the other species on this planet. And we have that ability, and we need to take advantage of that. So, yeah, I would hope they look back and say that he helped deliver this institution to the latter half of the 21st century in preparation for heading into the 22nd century.
Mm. Should be a great thing to be remembered for. Yes, it would. So as we come to our conclusion now, what do you think is a piece of advice you can give to teenagers or adults who want to go to college and seek higher education?
Well, I think the advice I try to give to most people, young people and older people, is to remember that no one accomplishes things on their own. No one is successful on their own. And the way and that you need to, work with others, you need to collaborate, you need to, get to get people to help you. You need help. And one of the ways that I tell people to think about that is to try to know what you don't know. Try to recognize what you don't know. I think so many times we think we know a lot about this subject or that subject or being here or going there or whatever. But try to recognize what you don't know, because that will force you to ask for help. That will force you to collaborate, that will force you to work and utilize knowledge and accomplishments that other people have had and allow you to take those things the next step. And if you do that, you will almost always be successful. So it's probably a little broader than going to college or whatnot, but I want people to be successful. And I think that's the way to do it. And I think in just about any endeavor, going to college or working or doing anything, working with your family or whatever, if you do those things, you'll be successful.
That's some phenomenal advice right there. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Yes, thank you. This was a great conversation. I know I learned a lot from talking to you today. I definitely did too. Before
Well,
we
thank
go,
you. Thank you both.
oh,
I keep interrupting you, and I'm sorry about that, but you guys have me so excited and so energized. That's what happens. But thank you both. I really appreciate the time with you.
no, thank you. This was a great conversation. And so yeah, but before we go, where can people learn more about LaSalle University and the programs they have to offer?
It's very simple at lasell.edu. And our name is spelled LASELL. So lasell.edu. You can find out anything and everything you need to know about us there.
All right. We had a really great interview today. So thank you, Mr. Turner, and the audience for joining us in today's episode of Esports, Metaverse, and Beyond. We'll see you next time. Bye.